And as of yesterday, criminals are those who seek to enforce the law, at least in Orange County. The sheriff in that county, Sandra Hutchins, is trying to assist ICE by publishing the release times of illegal immigrants who are in custody and wanted by the feds. But that puts her in conflict with California's sanctuary state law, which seeks to undermine deportation efforts and sabotage U.S. immigration law. California Attorney General Javier Becerra has suggested that Hutchins should be sued or even arrested for her efforts. Raul Reyes is an attorney and a columnist, and he joins us tonight. Raul, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure.
This seems like the moment where legitimate concerns about what happens to people here legally become something grotesque, and the state starts to act against the interests of its citizens. So here you have a sheriff saying you have potentially dangerous criminals who are wanted by the feds. They're going to be released. I'm going to post the times they are released publicly so the feds can do their job and detain them. And the attorney general, the chief law enforcement officer of her state, is saying she should be arrested.
Right.
How could you take his side in this against the safety of citizens of California?
Well, actually, two points here. As far as the sheriffs posting the names of not just the undocumented people, but of all people who are being of all criminals who are being released from their jails, as far as my reading of this law goes, that actually complies with California's sanctuary law. It would be a different situation if she were singling out people who were, say, on the list of ICE detainers or undocumented people, people with Latino names. She is not doing that. So as far as in this instance, I actually do disagree with the Attorney General, because I think if you look at an interpretation of the law, she is in compliance with what she is doing. However, that said, we have to remember when we talk about what they're doing in California, what the sheriff is doing, the people of California do support these so-called sanctuary measures. Last year, the Los Angeles Times found that 53% of Californians were in support of California's sanctuary policies.
Okay,
and
but
let's
back up. What percentage? Hold on. What percentage?
Two-thirds of Californians were in favor of these policies.
Okay, right. When we speak in general terms, it's easy to make generalizations.
Well,
but let's be specific. Hold on, if I can finish my question, if you don't mind, Mr. Reyes. What percentage of Californians do you think support the mayor of Oakland warning wanted criminals that they may be apprehended, and then watching as 4 of them went and committed felonies during the period they escaped apprehension by federal authorities?
As far as I know, there
got high support in the state.
Polling done on what percentage of Oakland residents approve of what the mayor of Oakland did. And in reference to those 4 individuals who were apprehended later, ICE officials and Department of Homeland Security officials were not able to tie any of them directly to Oakland. So they did apprehend them. They were Bay Area, but there was no direct link for them to Oakland.
There was no direct link.
And remember that what the mayor did, she directed people to know their rights.
At some point, do you feel a certain sense of, is there anything that you won't make an excuse for? I mean, here you have guys who got out and committed actual crimes with firearms. One guy gravely injured his wife by beating her. They should have been in federal custody. They were wanted by federal authorities, and the state of California made it harder for them to be apprehended. Can't you just say, you know what? That's appalling. I mean, I've supported illegal aliens. You wouldn't say that's appalling.
I hear your question. I hear some of your emotion, and this is my answer to your question.
Come on now.
When the Department of Homeland Security or ICE wants to go after these violent criminals, they need to issue a criminal warrant. What they do instead is detainers, which California doesn't want. And this is what your audience needs to know. In 2015, for example, ICE issued something like 95,000 of these immigration detainers. 62% of them were not even followed up on in any way, and only 15% resulted in an actual deportation.
Yeah,
ICE itself is not taking these matters seriously, so as a result, the state and local government does not either.
Right, yeah. The debate is not whether ICE is issuing the appropriate detainers or warrants. The debate is over whether the mayor of Oakland should be warning criminals that the feds are out to get them. That's really the debate here.
The mayor of Oakland, what she did was direct people to know their rights based on what she heard and based on what she said was credible threats in the community.
Is there any normal person who would support that? I mean, even people who are sympathetic to the Dreamers, I don't know, they're kind of with the call without a country, I get it, we feel compassion. But if you have someone standing up for political reasons and saying, hey, you wanted for a serious crime, run away, the feds are coming, that's kind of the beginning of the end when elected officials do that. You don't see that.
No, I don't have that cynical take. What I do know as a native Californian is this Mayor Libby Schaaf of Oakland has been celebrated by the community because many people appreciate what she is doing. And that, although it's controversial because not everyone likes the idea, they do appreciate that she is directing all people, not necessarily criminals or undocumented people, to know their rights. And that's important when we deal with law enforcement.
All right. Well, good luck with the community. Thank you. Community celebrating, whatever that means. Raul, thank you. CNN's Chris Cuomo says nobody is trying to repeal the Second Amendment. Nobody, hasn't been reading the paper recently. We'll tell you who is, actually, coming up.